right, welcome back to ABA Exam Review in our latest RBT practice question series, where we're going through the next set of questions together and breaking them down. If you're new to the channel, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. Please like and subscribe. Check out btexamreview.com for all of our study materials, including our combo pack. As always, when you pass, please let us know so we can include you in the Sunday shout out. Work hard, study hard. Let's get going. Morgan is tired of her employees showing up 5 to 10 minutes late for meetings. She decides that enough is enough and designs a plan to encourage her employees to show up on time. If her employees show up on time, she allows them to leave work 30 minutes early that day, but only if they show up on time. What is Morgan using? We're looking at Morgan's behavior. And since she's putting certain behaviors on extinction and reinforcing other behaviors, we need to start to assume that she's using differential reinforcement. And so since she's using differential reinforcement, we can first identify the reinforcer, which is allowing the employees to leave 30 minutes early that day. Now, how do the employees earn the 30 minutes early leave? Well, they have to show up on time. So if her employees show up on time, they get the 30 minutes early exit. If they don't, then they don't get any reinforcement. So why is Morgan trying to do this? Well, she wants to teach a new behavior instead of her employees showing up late. So the first question you want to ask yourself with differential reinforcement is, are we teaching a replacement behavior? If the answer is yes, then you're going to be choosing between alternative behaviors or incompatible behaviors. Remember, DROs, differential reinforcement of other behaviors, that strategy does not teach a replacement. With the DRO, you're only reinforcing when a behavior doesn't occur. You're not teaching anything new. Same goes for differential reinforcement of lower rates of behavior. Now, DRL might not be something you necessarily need to know on the RBT exam, but it's just to highlight that the only two differential reinforcement procedures that teach replacement behaviors are DRAs and DRIs. And so since Morgan is teaching a new replacement behavior, which is showing up on time, it's either going to be a DRA or DRI. So what is Morgan replacing? Well, Morgan is replacing her employees showing up late. So you have to ask yourself, can the employees show up on time, which is the new behavior, and show up late, which is the old behavior, at the same time? Well, of course not. Those behaviors are incompatible. So the only difference between A, the differential reinforcement of alternative behaviors, and C, differential reinforcement of incompatible behaviors, is the replacement behavior. If that replacement behavior is incompatible with the behavior that you're trying to change, it's going to be a DRI because it's a differential reinforcement of incompatible behaviors, which is the case here. If Morgan was teaching a replacement behavior that could happen at the same time as showing up late, that would be alternative. So the first question we ask, are we teaching a replacement behavior? And the second question we ask, if we're teaching a replacement, is it incompatible with the old behavior? A 7th grade teacher yells at her class to quiet down whenever they start to get loud. Eventually, when the teacher is in the room, the class stays quiet. What is the punisher in this scenario? This is a harder question than what it initially seems. Initially, it's short, it's to the point, and you might want to rush through it. But let's not rush through it. Let's think about it. We're looking for the punisher in the scenario. Now, the punisher is the stimulus that is added or removed as a consequence that is going to reduce the behavior. So in this case, what is the behavior? Well, the class gets loud. And so how has that behavior changed? Well, now when the teacher is in the room, the class stays quiet. So what has the teacher done to change the class's behavior? Well, every time they start to get loud, she yells at them to quiet down. So class starts to get loud, teacher yells, quiet down. Now, when the teacher is in the room, the class stays quiet. What is the punisher in the scenario? Well, it's going to be the yelling. Be careful about picking the teacher. The teacher just being in the classroom wasn't preventing the students from getting loud. What prevented or stopped or reduced the students' loud behavior? It was the teacher's yelling. Now, again, this might seem overly specific and overly picky, Well, we have to be specific and picky. The yelling is the punisher. The teacher is simply a stimulus. Now, why does the class stay quiet? Because now the teacher has stimulus control over the class's behavior. The teacher is now an SD for punishment because the class knows when the teacher is present, if they get loud, she will start to yell. So the yelling is the punisher that changed the behavior. The other kids in class have no bearing on the class staying quiet. That has nothing to do with the class's behavior changing. And staying quiet is the new response, if we can even call it a response. The punisher in the scenario has to be the yelling because our response that changed is the noise level of the class. They used to get loud. Now they get quiet. Why? Because the teacher yelled. So again, might feel overly specific, but you want to be as specific as possible in behavior analysis. James's daughter likes to feed herself, but she will start to scream if someone else tries to feed her. Whenever she starts to scream, James tells her to say, "Let me, please," and hands her the spoon if she says this. What is James implementing? What is James trying to accomplish? Remember, always first start, what is the question asking? Well, the question is asking about what is James implementing? What kind of procedure or strategy is he using? Well, we know his daughter likes to feed herself, but starts to scream if someone else tries to feed her. So immediately we start thinking, okay, he's trying to change this behavior. Because whenever she starts to scream, he tells her, say, "Let me, please." So James is giving her communication, giving her word, giving her language to better communicate her wants and needs. If she says, "Let me, please," he hands her the spoon. So clearly he's teaching her communication. Instead of screaming, we're going to use our words. What is James implementing? A, discrete trial training. With discrete trial training, there needs to be a clear indication that this is a contrived environment with a clear beginning and end for these different trials. To me, and what the question is indicating is James isn't contriving the situation. He's just going to teach as the situation occurs. And when we teach only as the situation occurs, we consider that B, incidental teaching. Another word or phrase for incidental teaching is naturalistic teaching. We're using the naturally occurring incidents, the naturally occurring situations to teach. That's what James is doing. He's using the opportunity of the daughter engaging in the behavior to teach. What is he specifically teaching? We'll see functional communication training. So James is implementing both B and C. He's implementing incidental teaching or naturalistic teaching. He's using these naturally occurring situations to teach, and he's teaching functional communication training. Good reason we always read all of our answer choices. We want to make sure we have the best complete answer. A skill acquisition plan indicates that the technician in charge of implementing the plan should always start with errorless teaching when first teaching the skill to a client. What type of strategy is implied here? All right, so we're looking at the strategy that this question is implying or is saying is occurring in this typical plan. We know we have a skill acquisition plan, and it says to the technician in charge of the plan that they always start with errorless teaching when teaching the skill. So the strategy is errorless teaching, but what overall strategy is errorless teaching a part of? If we're starting with errorless teaching, then what are we doing? A, most to least prompting. Remember, errorless teaching prevents all mistakes from occurring. We don't want errors to happen because errors lead to more errors. They become part of the behavior. They become part of the behavior chain. We want to prevent them. And in order to prevent errors, what must you do? Well, you've got to use the highest amount of prompting as needed, as necessary, to prevent the errors from occurring. So if you're using errorless teaching, are you most to least prompting? Absolutely. Errorless teaching is the highest level of most to least prompting. Typically involves physical prompting because with errorless learning, again, you're not allowing mistakes to occur. Is errorless learning or errorless teaching part of non-contingent reinforcement? No, non-contingent reinforcement is something entirely different from errorless teaching. Non-contingent reinforcement, we're delivering reinforcement uncontingent, not contingent on a behavior occurring. What about least to most prompting? With least to most prompting, it's the opposite of errorless teaching. The first step in least to most prompting is allowing the learner to fail, meaning we don't assist at all. We just let the learner respond. If they fail or make an error, that's okay. That's least to most prompting. That's not what we're using here. We're doing the opposite. And then graduated guidance. Graduated guidance is a type of physical prompting. You might be using graduated guidance to errorless teach, but we want the best, most specific answer, based on the question and the information. And all we know is we're using errorless teaching. And so in order to use errorless teaching to first teach the client, we have to be using most to least prompting. Errorless teaching is the first step to most to least prompting because you're not allowing errors to occur. You, a behavior technician, are asked to take pictures at your clinic's annual Thanksgiving potluck. There will be clients as well as employees at this potluck, so clients will be in some of the photos. If you want to post photos with clients to your personal social media account, what must you do? Now, immediately, you should know the answer to this question if you're fluent in our ethics, but let's break it down. The question is asking about posting photos to your personal social media account. Now, why do I say you should know the answer immediately? Well, because can you ever post photos of clients to your personal accounts? No, you can't. The BCBA is now very strict and very clear that we do not share clients, no matter what, on personal accounts. Even if they have permission, even if they give you permission, we don't do it. So even though you took these pictures at the potluck and the clients just happen to be in some of the photos, you can't share any photos on your account if clients are in them. So what must you do? A, you need approval from your supervisor to post these photos. On the business account, there are different rules. On your personal account, you never post clients. B, you cannot post these photos since they were taken at a work event and now belong to your work. Well, that might not necessarily be true. There's no information insinuating that. Either way, we're talking strictly about your personal account, and you can't post anything about clients to your personal account. C, you can never post client photos to your personal social media account. C is the right answer. D, you need a signed permission form from the client's parents. Even if they give you permission, you're still not allowed to. It's all about privacy. It's all about protection. It's all about maintaining dignity and doing no harm to our clients. The best way to do that is to just avoid posting clients to your personal account at all. The client is observed for 90 minutes one day. During that 90 minutes, the client engaged in self-stimulatory behavior for a full 10 minutes, then a full 12 minutes, and then a full 8 minutes. What percentage of time did the client engage in self-stimulatory behavior? So we're looking for percentage. All right, how do we find percentage? Well, to find percentage, you're going to take the data, add it all up, and then divide it by the total data, and then multiply by 100. Our total here is 90 minutes. We're looking for the percentage of time the client engaged in self-stimulatory behavior. And so we know they engaged for 10 minutes first, then 12 minutes, so we have 22 minutes, and then 8 minutes. So we have 30 minutes of self-stimulatory behavior in a 90-minute day. So we need to divide 30 by 90, get that number, and then multiply by 100. That's going to give you 33.3%. Now you're saying, well, why do I have to do math? You need to know basic averages, basic percentages, basic totals. And that's it. But you have to know those. So do a few average questions, do a few percentage questions. They're not challenging. And then once you get them down, it's free points on your exam. But you've got to know how to do them. Which of the following strategies would not be effective at reducing a child's aggression? Okay, open-ended, right? The question says not effective at reducing. That's what we need to focus on. Not effective at reducing. So what do we use to reduce behavior? We use punishment. We use extinction. And so A, negative punishment. Would that be effective at reducing a child's aggression? Possibly. Punishment is possibly effective at reducing aggression. What about reinforcement? Well, of course not, because if we are reducing aggression, by definition, it can't be reinforcement. If reinforcement is in place, something is increasing. So B cannot be effective at reducing aggression because it can't reduce. What about extinction? Extinction can reduce behavior. And what about positive punishment? Punishment can reduce behavior. A, C, and D are all possibly effective at reducing a child's aggression, but in no way will reinforcement reduce behavior because by definition, it would no longer be reinforcement. All right, thank you for watching. Check out btexamreview.com for all of our study materials. Make sure you like and subscribe. Spread the word. Let us know when you pass. Work hard, study hard. See you soon.